I've had a lot of emails lately from fans of the show curious as to why I have begun covering more cases of CSA on the show this last year than I have in the past. And I've gotten so many of them, I figured I would take a quick moment and just explain the reasoning behind this. First and foremost, I was asked by a member of law enforcement to cover cases of CSA because I do such a deep dive on every case that I do, and I don't present a bunch of malarkey. I try my best to just stick with known facts or any other piece of the story that I believe that listeners need to know. The other reason is because so many people within the United States today see CSA as being nothing more than a conspiracy theory. They equate it with QAnon and all that garbage. I don't have anything to do with that. I just present facts, and the facts are that child rings have existed in the United States, at least going as far back as the 1930s, with two notable cases that I have covered on the show being the Boy Scout troop out of New Orleans and also Francis Sheldon, who operated North Fox Island. It was a day camp for underprivileged boys, but in reality it was a hub for CSA. What they would do, they had an airfield built on the island itself and would fly these boys out to different parts of the country and then bring them back. And they operated nationwide, running advertisements in the back of gay men's magazines of the time, very similar to how these types of things now operate online. Sheldon also was linked to the main suspect in the babysitter murders out in Detroit, but more than that, he was also linked to Dean Coral, as Coral had told the first of his henchmen that he had a ring that he was selling the boys that were being brought to him to. And even after the murder started, he continued telling this individual that. And when his second henchman came in, he also told him that story. After Coral was shot and killed, however, and they started going through his records, they found a stack of cards, and on these cards were the names and descriptions of boys. And I'm not talking 4 or 5 cards, I'm talking hundreds of cards. Well, they also found the same stack, like a carbon copy stack, in San Antonio as well as in California. The reason why that ties in is when Sheldon's ring was eventually busted, they found cards with many of these boys' names on them. Sheldon was never brought to trial. He escaped justice because of the amount of money he had. He fled the United States and was able to avoid prosecution. But that's just 2 of many rings that have operated in the United States. There have been rings in Great Britain, in Africa, all throughout Central and Western Europe. There have also been politicians, which is why I am covering Cyril Smith at the moment, because he is the epitome of systematic abuse, in that he was able to operate within the system at a very high level, abuse children, and when individuals who were higher up the food chain found out about it, they covered up for it. And I don't just mean covered up for it here and there. They covered up for it for decades, and Smith was tied into rings in some of these schools that he operated in. So, there you go. That's just a very quick video explanation, because it's easier for me to do it this way than it is for me to send out numerous emails to people.